Hello people. In my last video I said I would cover my system's benchmark results, thus here they are. Each of the applications I've used are pretty popular testing utilities. They include both of Unigine's Valley and Heaven benchmarks, 1080p presets, 3D Mark's Firestrike, Firestrike Extreme, and Firestrike Ultra. These run at 1080p, 1440p, and 4K respectively, and FurMark's 1080p preset benchmark. For the games, I used Metro Last Light and Ashes of the Singularity. First, here is AMD Overdrive, a live look at my CPU clocks, my CPU voltage, and my multiplier. Behind that, I have Sapphire Tricks. This is after the voltage unlock update for the Fury cards. So I'm running a 10% overclock on the GPU and the memory with a 20% increase in the power limit. I have no increase on the voltage because if I add any amount of voltage I boot into a black screen. Don't know what's going on there, can't necessarily isolate it, can't seem to fix it, so I'm just gonna not bother with this until there's either maybe a new BIOS update for the card. I'm not even sure. Anyways, that's that. Moving on to the benchmarks. Starting off with Unigine Valley, I scored a average of 75, minimum 28, maximum 129, and for some reason my operating system is read as Windows 8. I'm actually running a fresh install of Windows 10, so why that's misrepresented I could not tell you. But again, my processor FX8370 overclocked to 4800 with my Fury X graphics card. Next test was a Unigine or the Unigine Heaven benchmark. Similar results to the Unigine Valley. 72 average, 24 minimum, 157 max. This time I am apparently running Windows NT 6.2. So again, my operating system was misread. Not sure what's going on with that one. This particular test, the preset defaults to 900p. I upped it to 1080p but left all other settings baseline. So that's that. Moving on to Firestrike, we have a score of just under 1100. Graphics score of 1700, physics score of 9000, combined score of 3000. Apparently my build is better than 87% of all results. Keep in mind that that is subjective to the people who actually run this sort of application and not necessarily representative of the entire computer owning community. So realistically, anyone who's running this sort of test, who's invested any amount of money in their system, they're at a higher percentage better than other computers than this is actually representing, or representing. This is only representative of people actually running the test. Anyways, alright, moving on. Next result. Oh, this one, by the way, was the 1080p. Moving on to 1440p, so Firestrike Extreme. Had a score of 7000, graphics score of 8000, physics 9000, combined score just under 3000. So my PC apparently better than 83% of all results. Alright, I'm okay with that. Moving on to 4K. So score of 4000, graphics score of 4000, physics score of 9000, and a combined score of 2000. Now moving into this tier, I'm only better than 56% of all results. Though I'm sure anyone ready to run a 4K benchmark probably has a 4K ready build for the most part. As you can see here, my graphics driver is not approved. I ran this test prior to the Crimson launch, but after the most recent beta driver for Catalyst, so a week before the Crimson launch. Though I tend to have issues with them not recognizing my AMD drivers. Not sure why that is, just seems to be the case more often than not when I run 3D Mark. Anyways, moving on. FurMark, score of 6,000. Couldn't really break that down for you comparatively, or what that algorithm is. FPS of 101. I guess that sounds good, but that's all I can really tell you about that. Congratulations to FurMark for getting my operating system accurate. Again, this is the Catalyst beta driver just prior to the Crimson app launch. Alright, moving on to games. Here's Metro. This particular test is notorious for its minimums, so even the most hardcore Intel 8-core CPUs with your Titan X's or your 980 Ti's, they have very, very oddly placed minimum frames throughout the benchmark, and I just assume it's just because of the synthetic nature of it, but as you can see, there's a 150 frame variance between my maximum and my minimum, and that shouldn't be the case with a consistently moving graphic. But anyways, alright, so average 73, maximum 171, minimum 19. It's very, very playable experience, and the benchmark is great to watch. I mean, it's pretty cinematic. I like it. For the last result, Ashes of the Singularity, it does not provide a nifty little window like all of the other applications did, so I can't necessarily show you that, but my average frames per second, and for all loads running DirectX 12, was 45. Keep in mind that those are results based on a pre-alpha build, and I'm sure it'll continue to be optimized and all that sort of stuff, though I want to assume that the limiting factor of my performance in that particular benchmark is my CPU, as even though the FX 8370 is an 8-core CPU, I think realistically it's closer to a 4-core, and the threading is odd because they're sharing some processes with only 4 modules, so it's, I don't know, the architecture's weird and it's outdated, and I'm patiently waiting for Zen. Zen hopefully is going to be the saving grace for AMD. The first computer I ever owned was AMD based, as was the first computer I ever put together 10 years ago. So nostalgia and brand loyalty have kind of played a large factor in my chipset purchases, along with my desire to support the underdog, which AMD typically is. So as long as they can amend their the poor performance per watt metric and maintain a reasonable price advantage, I'll abstain from switching from Team Red to Team Blue for now. Anyways, thank you guys for watching and listening. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, whatever, particularly in regards to my Fury X and voltage, if you have any advice on that and helping me get a better overclock on that card, I would very much appreciate that. Anyways, these are my results. Thank you for listening. Thank you. You guys have a great night, day, whatever time it is for you. Alright, bye-bye.